Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Kiki and Kibbitz. It's me, Mary, and I am here tonight with my Life After Lockup season premiere, season 5, episode 41. I still don't understand how they're numbering these episodes in these seasons, but whatever. It's the season premiere of Life After Lockup. Welcome home? Question mark. And let's get right into it. So we have our felons, okay? All the mug shots. And now this is their life after lockup. So we get to see how they're adjusting and what the hell is going on. So first we get into Bianca and Daniel. It's been about an hour or so since Daniel's been released. They are finally alone in the car. Okay. They went out to dinner with his family and everything. And so now they're heading back to the apartment. And Daniel was looking at Bianca like he wants to eat her for a snack. Okay. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The sexual tension in that car was so high. But then when they got back to the apartment, in my opinion, the tension between them, for the lack of a better word, was kind of awkward. It was like an awkward sexual tension. Bianca gave him the tour of the apartment, and he's like, "Hey, this is much, much better than a jail cell." First thing he noticed, which I found highly amusing, was the bottle opener on the side of the fridge. He's like, "What kind of bottles are you going to open with this?" So she gives him the tour. He's like totally impressed considering he slept in a bunk bed for the past 5 years. And him and Bianca sitting on the couch. And for like a good 5 minutes, it's like, "I love you. I love you more. I love you. I love you too. I love you. I love you more." But in my opinion, like the whole, vibe is a better word. The whole vibe between them was like awkward. Then Bianca turns to him and goes, "Do you want to fuck?" And there we go. That broke the tension. They go into the bedroom. And now Bianca is hoping that he lasts more than 2 pumps. Okay. Because if he doesn't, she's not going to finish. And what fun is that for her? Well, they both had quite a different version of their night to tell production. Bianca said it was basically 2 pumps. And you know, like whatever. Daniel, on the other hand, says that it was wonderful and they were just like looking into each other's eyes and holding each other. Bianca, on the other hand, I have a feeling she didn't have that kind of experience. So he needs to go see his PO to make sure that he can live with her. And Bianca was like, it would really suck if you can't live with me, considering all the money that I've spent to move out here and given up my whole life. And if you can't live with me, it'll really fucking suck. And Daniel's like, I am keenly aware of the amount of money that Bianca has spent to keep an open line of communication with me while I've been in prison, and the amount of money that she spent to move across country and to get this Airbnb and to set it up for us. I get it. And it really shows me that she's in for the long haul. Now, this is where it got weird. Okay. Daniel's going to make her breakfast. And she's like, "Okay, cool." So he makes her breakfast and they're sitting there eating. And she's like, "Honey, can you get up and make me a cup of coffee?" And he's like, "No, you can do it. The coffee maker's right there. It's filled with coffee. Just go get up and pour yourself a cup." And she's like, "But honey, you made me breakfast. You can't get up and just pour me a cup of coffee and put some milk in it." And he's like, "No, you can get up and do it yourself." Now, I didn't hear her thank him for the breakfast he made, or, like, how do I say this? Or be like, "Oh, Daniel, thank you so much. This was so thoughtful, whatever." So this is where it got kind of weird. It could be because of editing, but who knows? But it was just She turns around and she tells him, well, after everything I've done for you, the least you can do is pour me a cup of coffee. And he's like, no, I'm not going to let you get away with that. Okay. You are not going to do that to me. Every time, we get into an argument, you're going to throw back in my face how much you've done for me. Why did you do those things? Bianca, look at me when I'm speaking to you. Why did you do those things? Because I love you. And there you go. So please don't do that. That's not nice. And Bianca is like, well, if he gets this mad over me wanting him to pour me a cup of coffee, can you imagine how it's going to be if we get into a real argument over real issues? At this point, I'm like, whoa, that was weird. Okay. Because Bianca, girl, you could have gotten up and poured yourself a cup of coffee. But also, Daniel, you could have got up and poured her coffee as well. Bianca, you didn't need to throw back everything that you've done for him in his face. That wasn't nice. I agree with Daniel. But still, Daniel, why didn't you just get up and pour her a cup of coffee? Like, what was the drama over coffee? I don't know. I don't know. Bianca's like, why are you so triggered? And he's like, of course I'm going to be triggered with you throwing things back in my face. And I'm just sitting there watching this whole scene going, ugh, oi, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. But we shall see. So moving on, we have Zaria and Troy. Good news, everyone. She got rid of that god awful ponytail. And now she has braids. I, you know, I like Zaria. She's really cool. But that god awful ponytail, girl, it had to go. Okay. So Zaria and Troy are going to work. They're going to Project Heal, okay, which is Zaria and Troy's nonprofit organization, which helps basically people getting out of jail reassimilate resources, mental health resources, and things of that nature. Okay, so it's their first day. It's actually Troy's first day at work. Okay. And I totally condone this. Okay. You always got to roll a blunt before you go to work for after work. So I get you, Troy. I get you. So they get to the office and Zaria introduces him to one of the mental health managers, one of the assistants, and Troy's like really excited about this Project Heal thing. Okay. So he compares running a business as to the same thing as running a street business, as running a gang. Okay. You have a hierarchy where you have the person in charge and then everybody working under for the person in charge, and you always got to have somebody answering the phones, and you always got to have somebody doing the paperwork, and the person in charge got to oversee all this. So Troy comparing running a gang to running a business. So Zaria's really happy that he's happy about Project Heal, but there's something that she needs to tell him. And so now this is where another scene that left me scratching my head, literally. So 1 minute is she's, in bed, wearing her face mask, doing her beauty routine, talking about wanting to do her wedding. She's never gotten to try on actual wedding dresses. She wants to do the whole thing. Girl, I get you, okay? You got married in prison. You got married during the pandemic. You couldn't even kiss. You had to stand 6 feet apart. That was not the wedding of your dreams. You want the wedding of your dreams. I get it. I get you, girl. But then the conversation suddenly turned to, by the way, Troy, our business is about to be evicted because I didn't pay the last 2 months' rent. And I don't have this month's rent to pay either. And that's where I was literally scratching my head. I'm like, girl, okay, first of all, what happened to all that money that you sent to him in prison? You couldn't use some of it for the rent and for your Project Heal. Secondly, um, how the hell do you let 2 months go by on rent on your business and then just, drop it on Troy's lap and be like, yeah, oh, by the way, honey, today was your first day and your last day at work because we don't have money to pay rent and, you know, we're going to get shut down. Of course, Troy's going to flip the fuck out. And I really wish I would have took a picture. He was wearing all black with a pink do-rag, and he decides that he's going to go out and he got to figure something out. He got to figure something out because this is all too much. Okay. He's the man. He's the provider of the household. He got to figure something out, which leads me to my third question. Troy, from what I understand, you had your own money when you were in prison. Uh, why wasn't any of this put towards the rent of Project Heal? I'm scratching my head with both hands. Okay, literally. So anyway, he's like, I gotta do something, I gotta do something. He goes storming out of the house, okay, dressed in all black with a pink do-rag. Zariah's like, Troy, what are you doing? Troy, what are you doing? Troy, you need to come back here. Troy, what are you doing? And he's like, I just need to go and figure something out. I need to figure something out. And Zariah's like, if I was to see him on the street, I would think he was getting ready to rob somebody. All I have to say is Hot Mess Express, okay? And like Troy says, sometimes you got to do wrong things for the right reasons. But that mental state is what lands you up in prison, not for nothing. So, dressed in all black with a pink do rag and an ankle monitor to boot. Oy, I don't know. Okay, now moving on. We have Britney and Key Rock. You guys know I love me some Britney and Key Rock. But this episode left me going, huh? What? Okay, so they're moving. They're moving to Texas. They're packing up and everything. Okay. Key Rock quit his job. Brittany doesn't have a job, but she has a nail school that she's looking at, attending in Houston. They basically have everything all set up to move to Houston, except for the most important thing. Key Rock is not approved by Texas parole. Okay. Virginia parole, basically, they don't care. You want to move to Texas? That's fine. But Texas has to approve you. And Texas hasn't approved Key Rock yet. But Key Rock and Brittany have made all these plans to move to Texas, even though the most important factor has not been approved. Excuse me while I light my blunt. Huh? I'm like, what in the actual fuck? Do they really think we're that dumb? Like, this is where I start taking insults. I'm like, what? Come on. Sharp Entertainment, do better. Like, what the fuck? You actually want us to believe that Britney and Key Rock are all packing up. They quit everything. They're all set to move to Texas, but Key Rock is not approved from parole. And where does this sound familiar? Last season, when Mike and Justine were getting ready to move to Vegas, what was the little wrench in the whole machine? Mike not getting approved by parole. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention this during Bianca and Daniel's segment. Bianca was talking about how she has sent Daniel nudes, so Daniel knows what to expect. But the only way that Bianca has seen Daniel's penis was that he traced it on a piece of paper. And hearing her say this and the flashback with her showing her friend and it was in the scrapbook, I was like, who the hell this reminds me of? And I had to ask around, and I would like to thank my team member, okay, who came up with the answer for me because I smoke a little bit way too much pot. So sometimes I have to ask around. It was Haley and Dalton, okay? Haley had a drawing of Dalton's penis. Do you guys remember this? She held it up and it was like a long piece of paper and it was blurred out. Okay. So I'm like, well, wait a second. So is this just a recycled storyline? Okay, so now we have this season with this shit with Britney and Key. I digress. But last season, Mike couldn't move to Vegas because he wasn't approved by parole and Justine was going to wring his fucking neck. Now, this season, it's so far, Key and Brittany can't move to Texas because Key is not approved by parole. Okay. Moving on to Justine and Michael. Guess what? Guess what, Manhattan Barbie? 6 months old. You're going to be a big sister. Oh, yes, you are, because your mom is pregnant again. Even though they told her when she was pregnant with you that if she was to have another baby, it could mean her life. Okay? Because it was such a high risk pregnancy with you, Manhattan Barbie. They advised mommy not to have any other children. But guess what? Mommy's pregnant again. 8 is fine. 9 is better. I think that's what Mike said. But Mike also said after the move to Vegas that financially things are tighter than an ant's asshole. Hey, go ahead and have another kid. That's a great way to solve your financial problems. Anyway, so Justine is 19 weeks pregnant and they're having a boy. Now, the doctor is like, do you have a medical will in place? Because you know that this is a high risk pregnancy, right? Having another C-section could mean your life. You do know this, right? So you do you have a medical will in place that in case anything happens to you, we know what to do? And Justine's like, I really don't want to deal with this stuff. But her and Mike have a conversation, and she tells Mike, listen, if it comes down to me or the baby, I want you to pick the baby. I'm going to sacrifice myself for my children. I'm a mother. That's what mothers do. Mike is holding Manhattan Barbie and he's like looking at her. And then let me rewind a little bit. All right. When the doctor was asking her about her medical will, the doctor also asked, are you going to get a hysterectomy or is he going to get a vasectomy? Listen, Mike, I think you need to get a vasectomy. Okay. They've cut open Justine enough. So he's like, I think she deserves, she's going to get the hysterectomy because I don't want to mess with my equipment down there and not have it work. Really? Really, Mike? Okay. So anyway, Justine is 19 weeks pregnant with a boy. It is a super duper duper high risk pregnancy. And her youngest child is only 6 months old. And I think it was a real dumb thing to do. She said it wasn't by accident, it wasn't on purpose. So, which means you guys basically didn't give a flying fuck about any form of birth control or preventing another pregnancy. So you don't give a flying fuck about what the doctor is telling Justine. So, yeah. So anyway, Justine is having another baby, 9 kids. She has 5. He has 4. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, now I'm so wait. I think I screwed that up. They have 2 together, okay, including this one. He has 3 and she has 4. Here we go. Okay. Kim and Joey. Joey has totally stepped into the stay-at-home dad role. Okay. He has totally taken on the dad role. He takes the boys to school, gets them up, makes them breakfast, gets them dressed, takes them to school, picks them up from school. He has totally stepped into the stay-at-home dad. It was a rough month. Okay. This is his second month out, and he's gotten into the groove of things. But there's one thing that has been bugging the shit out of him. He believes that Kaysen, the oldest, could possibly be his. Because after all, back in 2018, when mommy got pregnant with Kaysen, she was messing around with Joey because she found out that her now ex-husband was cheating on her. And basically, Joey was a revenge fuck. So she was hanging out with him for a month or two. And then Joey went back to prison. She found out she was pregnant, assumed it was her ex-husband's, and went back with him. But there is a possibility that it could be Joey's. And Joey wants to know. So what does he do? He gets a at-home paternity test. Now, where does that ring a bell? Where did we see a paternity test before? Part of a storyline? Last season with Mike and Justine. But anyway, Joey's like, we'll just tell him that we're all testing for COVID. I'll just swab him and we'll send it off. And, what's the worst that could happen? I'm not his father. I still love him anyway. And Kim is like, Joey doesn't take disappointment very well. And this will be a huge disappointment if Kaysen is not biologically his. So this doesn't sit right with her. Besides that, this is the biggest secret she has ever kept. Like, nobody knows about this. And what if Kaysen is biologically Joey's? Oh boy, she's really nervous about the results. So we shall see. But I mean, it's just certain things. I'm like, where did I hear this before? Where did I see this before? Finally, we have Teenie and Rob. Now, this is the couple that we met, loved during lockup, and Rob had cameras in the house, and that was security and a line of communication. Now, Rob has been out for I think 6 weeks. Yes. And they're moving into their house. The highlight has been their trip to Florida for Rob's birthday. Rob has never been on a plane. He's never been in water. It was a really nice trip. Rob has just been, spending time with the family, building the bonds. If you're wondering if Teenie saw the tattoo of his ex, the huge portrait on his upper arm that she didn't know about, well, yeah, she did see it the first night that they consummated their marriage. So she's petty. She brings it up when they argue, but realistically, it doesn't matter because she can't sit there and say that Rob was her first love, and Rob really loved the bitch. So there's a huge tattoo on his arm, so be it. But she'll bring it up to be petty. Today is his homecoming party. Okay. And she's, invited his family, and fucked up, nobody in his family shows up until his mom at the end. Basically, no one showed up on his side. His sister had an excuse. She had an allergic reaction. His friend wasn't feeling well. Teeny's mom showed up. Her friend showed up. And at the end, here comes Kate, Rob's mom. She looks good. She must have seen how she looked last on Love During Lockup, because this was a glow up. Okay. She walks in, she's like, hi. And now Rob and his mom, their relationship is rocky. Okay. He's only 6 weeks out, and their relationship is already rocky. She's like mad at him about something. Teeny doesn't know, but Teeny invited her to the party and she showed up. So she's like, hi, everybody. How are you? And before you know it, she's telling Rob that she's not happy with him because he's not there for her. And she wants to know what she did for him to be treating her like this. And he's like, Mom, I just, been concentrating on my family here. And this is where Bob was fucked up. Okay? Excuse me. Mom turns around and says, well, I'll still be around when Teeny isn't. Now, Teeny's his wife, okay? It's not like Teeny is just another bitch that he met last week. She has been married to him for what, 6, 7 years? Okay? And I think she has proven her loyalty. Okay? She let the motherfucker have cameras in her house, basically spying on her whenever he wanted while he was in prison. Okay? I think she has proven her loyalty. And yes, a man first responsibility is to his wife and children. You respect your parents. You take care of your parents to a certain extent. Okay? Because it is not a child's job to take care of their parents. Just saying. That's my opinion. Okay? So by her asking Rob, where have you been? Why aren't you there for me? And then turning around and saying, well, I, as your mama, I will be here even after she's not here. And Teeny's like, hold up. I'm his wife. Like, what are you trying to say? And this is where the conversation started to get heated. Teeny, for her credit, tried to remove herself from the situation. Okay, she said, I'm going to get up and get a drink. Of course, Mom had to be sarcastic and throw out her sarcastic mouth. Teeny popped herself back into the screen so quick. And she said, Kate, what do you have against me? And pushed Rob's mom in the face. And there you go. Hands are thrown. Hands are thrown. And the one thing that I didn't like, okay, Teeny's daughter was sitting in the back, with her brother and Teeny, and Teeny's friend. And she was like, she saw the whole thing, and she must have seen Rob's mom hit Teeny, because she was like, she hit my mom. And that's how it ended. I don't like that. That's one thing I didn't like. That didn't sit right with me. The look in Teeny's daughter's eyes, seeing the whole shit show. Okay? I didn't like that. So, I think that's it. Yeah. So for a season premiere, I think it was, okay. If I was going to give it a grade here, let me give it a grade. I would give it a solid B minus. Okay. There was hands thrown in the first episode. That's always a good thing when it comes to Love After Lockup and Hot Mess Express. We all know we love when hands are thrown. That's basically it. So thank you for watching me. Stay tuned for episode 2 next week, and who knows who may be my co-host next week. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you for being patient with me. I've been having technical difficulties trying to figure things out, but I think I got it now. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, everybody. Please subscribe if you don't already. Hit the like button and share the video with a friend or 10. Bye, everyone.